Hello, young lords! It's your boy, Salvaje from the Salvaje Cartel. We're back with another Fortnite Save the World in death, in baseball, weapon review. Astro Bat 9000. I said I wasn't going to review this thing, alright? Because, you know, I was like, it's gonna be a garbage-ass melee weapon. The Spectral Blade is a god tier, like, super god tier melee weapon. Astro Bat's probably not gonna be, you know, worth the time to sort of put into. But then I bought the bat and I used the secondary attack on my Storm Shield, and I was like, oh damn, boy, this shit good, man. I like this bat. Damn, boy. Nah, but the secondary attack really caught my attention, guys, and So I took it to my second account, right? And I played with the bat on my second account, and I was playing with it in my Storm Shield in Plankerton, my SSD6 for Plankerton, and yeah, man, it's pretty Gucci at the low levels of play. I just want to point that out, right? At the low levels of play, when I'm not like maximizing the weapon, I mean sort of, because I am using anti-Cartel for my primary slot. When I get an elimination with a secondary attack, it counts as a melee elimination. So, you know, you do get that energy. You can just spam the secondary attack, basically. At the lower levels of play, it's fun, right? I really like this weapon. And I thought, hey, you know, if it's pretty Gucci at the low levels of play, that means let me try it out on my main account, right? You know, power level 131. Let's perk up the bat as well. I had 40% attack speed on it. I put 2 attack speed perks on it because I'm not a huge fan of slow swinging weapons unless they give me like a pretty huge advantage, like the Guardian's Will with anti-Cartel, where you can just spam the heavy attack and infinitely stagger most of your targets. But yeah, guys, I tried out the Astro Bat 9000 with multiple loadouts. This is the loadout. I'm gonna put the loadout on screen that I had the most fun with. I tried out the Astro Bat 9000 also with Privateer Hype, and I wasn't feeling it, guys. You know, this thing, even though it's fun, it's a very gimmicky, niche type weapon, right? I mean, look, a couple of months ago, I said the Sir Lancelot was just going to be a forgotten melee weapon. But there's a couple of Constructor players that like to run that spear because it has the ability to push away mini bosses. And of course, you know, maybe you're using a Constructor that doesn't have the Bull Rush ability, right? And also the fact that you can, you know, pull away mini bosses is also very, very helpful. So at least the Sir Lancelot has that specific niche that it sort of fulfills, right? But the Astro Bat 9000, if you're looking at it from the point of view that, well, it's a weapon where you're going to be using the secondary attack for, you know, some long range damage, that's where the errors, I guess you could say, the flaws of the Astro Bat sort of start showing up. Throughout my time testing the weapon, and I tested the weapon this morning for about, I'm going to say 3 hours. I noticed that the damage on this thing with the primary attack is complete garbage. The swing speed is just terrible. You have to fully legendary perk this thing if you actually want to put it to good use. And as you guys know, when it comes down to my Save the World weapon reviews, I don't like to review weapon with full legendary perks, except the Boom Boom. I'm going to review the Boom Boom with full legendary perks. But yeah, I don't like reviewing weapon with full legendary perks because not every Save the World player has the time to put every single perk on legendary. Most people just go with critical rating on legendary and, you know, other perks like that. But I just don't think it's worth getting the 1725 legendary perk up to make this bat somewhat playable, right? Because even though I was maximizing this bat with a specific club-based loadout, you know, the primary attack, again, was doing next to no damage. I just didn't really feel any use for it. The secondary attack was also very, very underwhelming at the end game levels of play, guys. I was doing 140 missions. I was doing 120 missions, 100 missions. Even at a level 97 mission, I was somewhat struggling with this Astro Bat because sometimes it didn't eliminate level 97 Husky Husk when the weapon was at power level 130, right? So what am I trying to tell you guys here? Should you spend your gold on the Astro Bat 9000? I absolutely think you should. It's a fun melee weapon in Fortnite Save the World that you're going to have a lot of fun with for the most part at the lower levels of play. But when it comes down to a melee weapon that's reliable, that you're going to be using at the end game levels of play, this weapon is definitely far from it. The damage is really underwhelming. And another thing that holds back the Astro Bat 9000 is that it doesn't really have any support at all whatsoever. It has privateer hype, which increases club damage, and I believe that's about it. You know, it doesn't have heroes that lower the club heavy attack efficiency, for example. What perks did I have on my Astro Bat 9000? I had heavy attack efficiency, because I wanted to spam the secondary attack because, you know, that's what I had the most fun with. I also had double attack speed, and I had critical rating. And my element, I believe it was physical. Yeah, I think it was physical or energy, I'm not sure. Star rating. What am I going to give this weapon, right, when it comes down to the star rating? Because let's be honest here, right? This weapon is trash as a melee weapon. It has next to no support. It doesn't really have any utility because you're better off just running a hardware, for example, like the socket wrench, right? The secondary attack on the weapon is pretty useful, but you're not going to be getting a lot of use out of it at the higher levels of play because you're not going to be doing massive amounts of significant damage. Oh yeah, and I forgot one thing. The secondary attack, while it can be somewhat reliable, guess what? It has a massive counter that I haven't really seen any players brought it up, at least on the Save the World subreddit. This thing, this bat, the secondary attack gets heavily countered by Shielder Husk, right? Like, I was doing a 4-time mission with this bat, and in 4-time missions, the Shielder Husk appear more often, right? As an endgame player, you're gonna be doing 4-time missions very frequently, right? Because you need to grind specific materials. Well, I realized the Astro Bat was just completely useless, right? Because, again, at those low-level missions, at those high-level missions when the shielders were in play, like, the bat was basically useless. Like, you were better off using a Spectral Blade, just any other weapon other than the Astro Bat. Let me get straight to the point. This is a 2 out of 5 star weapon in my book. It just lacks consistency on situations that it needs to excel. But the weapon is somewhat fun to use. If you're playing at the lower levels of play where shielders are not constantly spawning and they're basically countering this weapon, and if you're using the secondary attack from time to time as well as the primary attack from time to time at the lower levels of play at least, the weapon can be somewhat useful and also fun at the same time. The only reason why it's not getting a 1-star rating is because some weapons in the game are trash and they're not fun to use. But this weapon is trash, but it's a little bit fun to use, right? I enjoyed my time with the Astro Bat, and I hope you guys did too. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop it a like. There is a 5% chance that if you drop this video a like and you use my supporter creator code Salvaje, your mom is going to buy you $100 worth of V-Bucks tomorrow. I just want to put that out there. See you guys in the next one.